So instead of wasting it, cut it and preserve it so that it can be used during periods of scarce pasture, a period where you can access to your grassland. Period, for example, this time of the year, it's too cold to go out. It's raining to go out to harvest the grasses. Or during the drought season, when the pastures don't grow that well, so you can use it. Or during the public holidays. In our case here, we have a lot of holidays. Your workers will take day off. During Labor Day, for example, your workers will take day off. So during this period of time, your conserved pasture is very important. In overseas, the growing period of pasture is normally during the autumn, spring, and summer, not in winter. So the whole of winter, it can be about 3 months. The farm must rely on the preserved pastures to be used as a main food for their animal. So the normal method how we conserve is two method, normally silage and hay. Silage, I think most of you have heard of silage. Most of you have heard of hay. Silage is conserved in airtight containers. It undergo anaerobic fermentation. But hay is just normal drying. Just drying and preserve it in dry form. Same thing like your herbarium is dry and preserved. So basically, the requirement of silage, a good silage, we talk about silage first, we talk about hay later on, is an airtight container or silo to reduce the cell respiration, because cells still respire. Even though you cut your grasses, it still respire. So we must make it airtight so that there is no oxygen to stop it from respiring. And the moisture content should be around 65 to 75, or dry matter 35%. Not too much moisture or not too dry, and some carbohydrate for the microbes to feed before it start to ferment the grasses. Normally the carbohydrate is in form of molasses. We add a bit of molasses. You can use even brown sugar. So as I mentioned just now, silage is very important for the states where they have long dry period or long wet period. In states like Kedah, State Kelantan and Terengganu, we have, or Perlis, we have long dry periods lasting about 3 months, 2 to 3 months, or even 4 months, depending on severity of the drought. So in these states, you need to preserve the grasses, because at this time of the year, the availability of grasses is minimum due to the drought season. Unless you have sprinkler system, then the supply can be consistent. But in the states where we have high rainfall and susceptible to flooding, now it's flooding in Johor state, right? In Johor and in certain part of Pahang is flooding. So maybe your pasture land might be submerged due to the drought and due to the rainfall, water accumulation due to heavy rainfall. So some or even most of our pasture land are in low-lying areas. So when it rains and is flooded, you can imagine you cannot access to the pasture land. So this time your silage is very, very important. So in silage making, the objective is to preserve it in that succulent form at low pH under anaerobic condition. Okay, silo is the container. Silo is a container where your pastures are preserved. Silo can be so many forms. Overseas, it can be form of, you remember, if you see how people keep the paddy in the paddy bernas machine there, it's a silo where they keep. So the silo, it can be, I'm not sure I've got a picture here. This is a silo, okay, like rocket, silo here. So silo here mean a specialized container or device where the silage can be prepared under anaerobic condition. Type of silo is meant, it need to be airtight. As far as airtight, then it's okay. For example, in this case here, the grasses are harvested and just lump on the ground, and then it's compacted with tractor, and later on is covered with plastic to prevent oxygen entrance. And here, in this case here, concrete wall is constructed, and you put in the grasses here, compacted and covered with plastic. So this is called bunker silage. And silo towel, in overseas, this is very important because they need a lot of silage to be used in winter. So this, when they is prepared using concrete wall, you put the grasses underneath and then cover it plastic. So you need to put something on it so that the air inside is airtight. Okay, and here is the silo. Here is bunker silo. So how to prepare the silage? What are the steps involved? Of course, the first step is to select the fodder type. It can be grasses, it can be corn, it can be legumes, it can be paddy straw. But the most important is probably it needs some carbohydrate and it needs some moisture, about 65% moisture. And actually the stem of maize, the maize stubble is the best silage because it is palatable, it's not that hard, and it contains energy, high energy and a bit of protein. So of course Napier is also good. And then guinea grass is okay. Here the best is maize stem or maize plus the cob attached together. So the cob can supply high energy as well. So for corn, if you want to use corn, then it should come together with the cob, the foot of the corn. But don't let the corn be too old. So here's some indicator here. When the lower leaf of the plant start changing to light green, but not yellow, light green, okay? And the husk color, the color of the cob, we call it husk color, the kernel has visible then. The kernel, you can see the kernel there. It's developed already. And okay, probably the best method is to mechanize the harvesting of the corn stem. So in this case here, example here, the corn are harvested by the machinery and it's chopped. It's not just cutting, but also chopping and put it inside the trailer or basket behind the tractor there. So this saves a lot of time in cutting and carrying. Of course, in small scale, you have to still cut and carry it using tractor manually. So after you harvest it, the next step is chop it. Chop it into small pieces, maybe 1 cm or even 2 cm is all right. Not too short, because in the rumen, the bacteria prefer a slightly long cut, not too short, for the microbe to digest, to stay in the rumen. So in this case, we use chopper. Chopper is very convenient. There are a lot of grades of chopper, high speed and low speed. Okay. So just now, in this case here, there's no need to chop anymore because the machinery already chopped in the field. And the moisture content should be about 65%. But if it is too damp, it's too wet, for example now, it's too wet, it's slightly, when it rains too often, so it's too wet, so you should expose it under the shade. Put it under the shade, expose it to the air for some time so that it's slightly dry. Because right now, the moisture content is probably about 80% or 85% or even 90%. It's too wet, too damp for silage. This is a kind of test you can do manually. We call it grab test. You grab the chopped grasses, you grab it, you squeeze it. If a lot of water squeezed out from the grasses, then it's too wet. But if you grab it and sort of remain in a ball or remain unopened inside your, when you open your palm and the ball still remain, then the moisture is okay. Okay, here. If the ball opens suddenly, you grab it, you open it, the ball in the palm open suddenly, then the moisture is too low. If it remain, the moisture is if remain in shape, it's too high. If remain in shape and water ooze out, the waters come out from the lower part of your fingers here, then it's too wet. If open slowly, then it's okay. You don't have to use a moisture meter all the time. So once you check the moisture, you chop it, then I put into silo. You should be filling the silo first before. It should be here. It should be. Should fill into silo first. Put inside your in your container. So here you can you fill and compress water. Compress here is to get rid of excess air, because air contains a lot of oxygen. When there are too much air, if it is not compressed, then the fermentation process, the anaerobic process, is not efficient and your silage might turn bad. And then after filling the silo, then you may add some. Is it here? It's not written here. You should add some molasses as a form of initial carbohydrate, and then seal the silo so that it's airtight. So it can be, you can use plastic or polyethylene sheet and put tires or sandbag over it so that it's airtight. So here is mixing of additive. Before you seal, actually, before sealing the silo, you can add additives beneficial for the formation of the silage. You can add, if you need some calcium, you can add calcium carbonate or calcium limestone to enrich your silage with calcium. Remember, calcium is very important for animal nutrition. Organic, you can add in acid, lactic acid is important, or urea. Urea is for nitrogen. Feed stuff. You can eat. You can add, for example, wheat bran or rice bran or maize, crushed maize, and so on. But probably the most important here is to add microbes so that the process, the fermentation process, take place as fast as possible. And our experience in the farm indicate that addition of EM or microorganism is extremely important. If you don't add microbes, then the tendency of spoilage of silage, the silage will spoil, is very high. The chance of silage spoilage is very high. Okay. All right. So this is a summary of how to make silage in 100-liter drum. Which one is 100-liter drum? If you go to farm, you have the drum which has a clip, the drum with a clip, and then with the rubber stopper, rubber seal around the cap of the drum. So the clip and the rubber layer there will prevent the entry of oxygen, and it makes sure the condition is anaerobic. So and that 10 liter can accommodate, can take in about 50 kilogram of silage. So 50 kilogram of silage is the weight that is easy to carry. Even your feed concentrate is also about 50 kilogram. So this silage 50 kilogram is easy to carry. If you prepare in a much bigger container, for example, a 200-liter container, it will be heavy and it need 2 person to carry it. This 100-liter, 1 person can still carry, one strong male person. So ladies, I don't encourage ladies to carry this 100-liter container or 50 kilogram of silage. It's too heavy. But of course, you can prepare in plastic, very thick plastic, and seal it just using using the raffia string or any form of string at all to tie it. Okay. So in this case here, the process is the same. Whatever container you use, the process is same. So first is harvesting, of course, harvesting, and then pasture drying if it's too wet, chopping, adding into the drum, and compacting. This process is very important. Compacting is very important. So compaction, you can compact by standing or by jumping on the grasses that you put inside the drum. Of course, the drum must be big enough. Jumping, but we have some automation system whereby we can compact the grasses they put in. As I mentioned earlier, compacting is to prevent air spaces in between your grasses. So because remember it's anaerobic, so it don't need oxygen. And also by compacting, you can put a lot of grasses. If it is loose, then the capacity will be not much. Remember, about 50 or 55 kilogram for 100-liter container is considered good capacity. And next step is to add additive. Additive, for example, calcium carbonate mentioned earlier, and effective microbe. Effective microbe is important to make sure the silage do not rot. Do not rot. Okay. If there are no microbe, and we have to rely on the microbe that survive on the leaf of the grasses. Of course, on the grasses there are a lot of microbes. In the air, a lot of microbes. So relying on that naturally available microbe is not good enough. We must put in microbe inoculant so that the population is higher and the silage will ferment faster and will not rot. So once compacted, once you add the additive and EM, I can seal it. So sealing must be airtight. Make sure if you use plastic, there are no holes on the plastic. And after 2 weeks, it's ready to use. Of course, you can use it immediately. For example, if you put in the grasses inside your drum or container, and you realize that you have no grasses left, you can immediately use the silage. It's okay, it can be used. But for maturity, for full maturity, you need 2 or 3 weeks period. Of course, the addition of microbe can shorten it to even 1 week actually. So probably it's ready after even 1 week. So when you want to use the silage, okay, it can be used immediately. Okay, you put in everything inside the drum there. It can be used immediately, but normally a period of about 2 to 3 weeks is required for the maturity. But if you don't consume all the silage in the container, then you must make sure you cover it back so that minimize the entrance of oxygen inside the silage container. So, okay, imagine if your silage is in the form of bunker silage where you have concrete by the side and you put plastic on top of it. So this kind of storage, when you take the silage away, make sure before you leave the silage, you cover it properly so that you minimize the entrance of oxygen, or in other words, minimize the entrance of air. Okay, let's look at the process in the drum there. What actually happened inside the drum there? It can be divided into 4 phases. Of course, the phases are not very clear, but generally, the process involve the first stage, the first phase. The plant will respire, okay, and respiring will consume the oxygen. Once there is no more oxygen inside your drum, the CO2 will be released. So the CO2 will facilitate anaerobic fermentation, anaerobic respiration, and this is time when the anaerobic bacteria will start to multiply. So when we have the drum or container which is not airtight, the anaerobic bacteria will not grow properly, and that will disturb your fermentation process. So the stage 2 is actually the degradation of the protein, and then the production of lactic acid bacteria. The number of lactic acid bacteria will start to increase. In phase 3, lactic acid will dominate. Lactic acid bacteria will dominate the whole of the silage container, and the molasses we will add. Molasses is the carbohydrate for the enhancement of the growth of this lactic acid bacteria. And then when it's acidic, okay, because of lactic acid, the pH of of your silage will start to go down to as low as 4. Okay, so that's why the whole process will take as long as about 2 weeks. It depends. It can be as fast as 1 week. So the phase 4 is variable in the sense that it depends on the above phase 1, 2, and 3. When it's ready, the silage will be stable. No more fermentation, no more acid is produced. So this is what we call it, the storage time, the preserve. It's like your jeruk mangga, jeruk berkelubi. The process of fermentation is completed, and it can be kept long. It can be kept as long as even 2 years. Okay, 2 years. But it's no point keeping for 2 years. If we keep only for probably 6 months. So what are the advantages of silage making here? I think the advantage is probably preservation. Can use it during the unfavorable condition, and it's actually partially digested because there is some fermentation process. There is some action of the microbes on your grasses, and also there is no wastage of your grasses. You can cut the whole part of your grasses, cut the whole part, and preserve it, use it. The animal will eat everything. It's highly palatable, meaning is the ruminant like to eat it, no fire, and it, excuse me a moment, okay? Oh, sorry. It cannot be disturbed by fire and to provide succulent feed. Succulent feed here is wet feed. Okay, I think I've mentioned about this quite earlier on. Okay, quality of silage. What causes poor silage? A good silage has got a pleasant aroma. When you smell, it's got some sweet smelling acidic smell. Okay, sweet smell, sweet aroma. Uh, the smell of alcohol, ester. Okay? Ester smell, and it should be free from slime. It should be not slimy. Slimy ni macam gum kan, slimy, licin tu. No. And there should be no mold, 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 no fungus growth. Okay. What causes poor silage? Acid production. I mean, if during the process of silage there is insufficient acid production, the bacteria are not processing the acid, the pH is not low enough, then uh, the silage will be very poor. Okay, and moisture content, too wet or too dry is no good. The third reason is oxygen. If your container is leaking or a lot of oxygen inside your tank or inside your silage, then uh, the quality is no good. Okay, what are the characteristics of good silage? The pH must be low, lower than 4.5. Lactic acid content should be very high. The color is yellowish to greenish, not blackish. Okay, not black color, must be yellow or greenish. A light yellow is good. Smell like vinegar. Vinegar are the acid. And of course, the eaten by an animal palatable and as good as the original material. Of course, it can be better than original material if you add the additive. Here, type of silos. These are big silos, tower silo, 2 to 5 meter. 2 meter is very wide, okay? And height up to 20 meters high. This is overseas actually, not practical in Malaysia. Uh, trench, trench separate, okay? Trench separate. Appropriate on slope area, the size can be also quite big. 3 meter deep, 5 meter wide, and can be very long. Okay? So this is you dig a trench in the soil and put it in the put the grasses inside there and cover it. So compaction is done by tractors or heavy machinery going on the grasses, and then after compacted, cover it in plastic sheet so that oxygen do not enter. This is example here. Here is the concrete wall. In this case, it's not a trench. It's a construction of concrete wall. The side, put the grasses, chop grasses here, covered plastic, and here you can see the wall is very strong, concrete, and then put the grasses here, and then cover plastic. Put used tire on top of it so that the plastic is not blown away by wind and oxygen do not enter. This is okay. There's an example here. The silage, the grasses are covered and put. I think this is old tires. Okay. Okay. We proceed to another preserve grasses, which is hay. Hay are the grasses that cut and dried to a moisture of about 18 to 22% moisture, very low moisture. In the field, the moisture is about 70 or 80%, but hay contain only 18 to 22% moisture. So it's very dry and very light. And hay can be kept for some time without loss of quality, provided there are not much air moisture around. If there are a lot of air moisture in the air, then the fungus will start to grow and your hay will be destroyed. So that's why hay is very popular overseas, where the humidity, the air relative humidity is very low, can be as low as 50%. But ours, the relative humidity is about 80%. Like today, in most part of the country, today is rainy. Okay, in Johor it's rainy, Kelantan, Terengganu it's rainy. So the moisture content of the air or the relative humidity is very high, can be as high as 95 or even 100%. So in this condition, your hay cannot keep long. Okay, it's susceptible to rotting. So any grass you can use. This is a type of grass. It's not Mardi Malaysian Agriculture Research. No, this is a type of grass. We call it Mardi digit. But now paddy hay is become popular. Paddy hay in Malaysia because after harvesting using the combined harvester, the paddy is left in the field and is dried in the field. So we call it baler. I don't have the picture here. A baler is kind of machine that roll the paddy straw into a bale. Bales, bale, and that bale, it depends on the size. It can be very big and can weigh up to 150 kilograms. It's very heavy, or it can be small one. And it seems that the paddy hay can be stored quite for some time probably because the protein content is very low, and the paddy straw contain very high silica, okay, and that prevent the rotting by the microbes. Microbes do not like the paddy straw, paddy hay, because the composition is very high in silica, very high in lignin, not much hemicellulose. So it's very difficult for the microbe uh, to decay it. And actually, we have there is a farmer. There is a farmer in Kedah who developed a kind of microbes suitable for paddy hay digestion. As I mentioned earlier, the importance of microbe for the digestion of the grasses inside the rumen, the importance of this microbe is very significant, it's very high. The microbe, remember the test question, the microbe will will digest the hay, the microbe will digest the paddy straw, the microbe will produce protein, the microbe will produce energy, the microbe itself, when it dies, it will contribute to the protein of the ruminant. A red report which says that up to 70% of ruminant protein actually comes from the uh, microbial activity in the rumen. Meaning, when the bacteria work on the grasses or on the paddy straw or on the hay, the activities will produce a lot of amino acids, the protein. The microbe produce a lot of lactic acid, propionic acid, and so on, and that is used for energy. And they also produce vitamins. And also, when the microbe pass to the small intestine, the microbe will die. The microbe body, the amoeba, the protozoa, it contains about 60% protein. So when the microbe multiply inside this ruminant, they are actually producing protein from the grasses that they eat. They are producing protein because their body is 60% protein. And so when this microbe dies, it will be digested in the small intestine and absorbed. So the 60% protein of the microbial body will be absorbed as microbial protein by the ruminant. So actually here I stress again the importance of the microbes in the digestive system, in the silage, and even in the hay. By using paddy straw, farmers in Kedah, I mentioned earlier, there is one farmer there, and in Vietnam, the farmers there are using paddy hay to feed their cattle. So that's why when we buy cattle during the Raya Korban time from Thailand or Vietnam, if we feed them with paddy hay, then they like it so much because the rumen is already filled with microbe which like to eat paddy straw. And these microbes are dependent on the feed that we give. If you give paddy straw, then the microbe that digest paddy straw will multiply. But if you feed with corn stem, the microbe that like the corn stem will multiply. So this microbe that digests, that ferment the corn stem, or that ferment the paddy straw, are two different microbes. So the microbial population in the rumen is highly dependent on the feed that you give. That's why recently we are adding microbes to the feed, to the ruminant feed, so that the population of we are not dependent so much on the natural population in the rumen. We are adding in microbe so that the microbe is already there to digest the grasses. There is no need for the microbe to multiply so that the population is high, then only it can digest. So by adding the microbe is always there to digest the feed that we give. So what are the benefits of hay? It's the same as silage availability during scarce time. For example, like paddy straw, if we train our ruminant to eat paddy straw, training here meaning we give them microbes that can digest paddy straw, then we can buy paddy straw from Mada area in Kedah or Kumubu in Kelantan, or in any of the Tanjung Karang area maybe. We can buy the paddy straw hay from this area and keep in our farm during the scarce time. During this time of the year, you don't have enough grasses, you can give paddy straw. And apa lagi can be stored a long period of time, provided you have shelter. You cannot keep in the open. If silage once is matured, you also cannot put it under direct sunshine. I forgot to mention here, because if you put it under direct sunshine, the microbe inside there will die, and the temperature is not good for the conservation of the silage. So, okay, back to hay. Then, if you protect it from rain, there is no need to put inside container. There's no need to put inside your silo. You can just leave your hay hanging or in bales. In the case of paddy straw, is in form of bale. Normally, hay are kept in the form of bale or in the form of compacted structure. It can be in square form or it can be in rectangular form. It's compacted using machine. Okay? Actually, there is a farm in I think I visited this farm sometime in Klang Valley in Selangor. They import alfalfa bale, alfalfa hay from overseas to be fed to their cattle, dairy cattle. And when I asked him why you give hay to your dairy cattle, his answer is still economical. Rather than planting grasses, rather than buying our local hay, in the imported alfalfa hay from overseas is more economical. So I do not comment much on this because I'm not very sure what is the cost like. He might be right in the sense that the alfalfa hay contain very high protein, so he can save on protein. But in terms of biomass, probably the hay from paddy straw or the silage from our Napier grass or Viticola grass, we have a lot of biomass here. But in terms of quality, maybe alfalfa hay is of better quality because of the high protein content. So this need to be verified in detail. I just inform you that the use of hay is indeed important. There are farmers who are using imported hay. Okay, and of course it can be easily transported because it's lighter. It's very much lighter than the silage produced in the silos. Any more slide? Oh, no more slide. Okay, this is the last slide. So, any question?
No.
No question. Silage is very important topic because through experience, we have to have silage in our farm. We have to have silage. You cannot rely on fresh grasses all the time. We have to have hay in our farm. So as mentioned, the only hay available in the country is paddy straw hay. So both silage and paddy straw hay is important to our Malaysian livestock business. So mana apa nama yang bela kerbau tu? Kerbau bagi silage tak?
Ya, Prof.
Kerbau itu bagi silage tak? Norain.
Bagi.
Bagi ya.
Kalau dalam setahun tu biasanya kita orang akan stok dalam 120 tong silage untuk musim tengkujuh.
Silage dibuat dari apa?
Batang jagung.
Batang jagung. Mengapa tak guna apa ni humidicola, breaking humidicola?
Oh, tak pernah try lagi. Biasanya kalau kat rumah tu guna batang jagung dengan napier je, Prof. Humidicola tak pernah buat.
Mana dapat batang jagung? Tanam sendiri ke beli?
Tak beli pun. Macam ada sepupu tu kalau dia tanam ke, lepas pada habis kutip buah tu, kita orang pergi ambil batang jagung.
Okey. Ni dia tanam sweet corn lah ni. Bukannya corn special untuk grain corn, untuk ruminant bukan, okey?
Dia jagung manis.
Jagung manis, okey. So in Malaysia, the sweet corn industry is quite flourishing. Mana ramai orang tanam sweet corn. So there are people yang entrepreneur yang bagi baja, bagi benih kepada petani supaya tanam sweet corn. In return, yang bagi baja tadi atau yang bagi benih tu ambil batang sweet corn untuk buat silage. So Norain punya kes ni dia ambil batang silage daripada saudara dia untuk batang jagung saudara dia untuk buat silage. 100 tong tu tak cukup. Cukup ke 100 tong Norain?
120 tong. Kalau sehari tu biasanya kita orang akan bagi 4 tong. Cukup lah. Tambah dengan meh dia lagi.
Okay. Okay, ini practical experience daripada orang yang buat ladang, orang yang bela kerbau banyak. They still need to have silage even though kerbau tu dia lepas meragut atau ada padang napier sendiri, silage masih lagi mustahab.
Silage tu musim tengkujuh je biasa, Prof. Kalau macam musim tak tengkujuh tu biasa makan sekitar tu je lah.
Okay. Tengkujuh. Masa sekarang lah ya?
Masa sekarang. Sekali dengan rumbia, sagu.
Sagu? Hampas sagu ke ataupun batang sagu?
Batang sagu.
Batang sagu? Oh, dia gigit batang sagu lah?
Dia makan je. Lembu dengan kerbau semua makan.
Oh, saya ingat ayam je makan batang sagu. Batang sagu contain karbohidrat yang tinggi, okay? Energi yang tinggi. Okay. So, okay. Terima kasih Norain for your sharing your experience untuk kawan-kawan kita. Tak ada soalan? Okey, kalau tak ada, kita berhenti sini dulu. Kita sambung balik minggu depan, insyaAllah. Okey, Dr. Yati? Anything?
Tak ada benda. Okey, terima kasih, Doktor.
Okey, terima kasih.
Terima kasih, Doktor.
Okey.
Thank you, Doktor.
Terima kasih, Doktor.
Sama.